Do you experience problems like this when you seek help for your home improvements? Not at Burke and Pace Lumber. Thanks to Atoka Alumni Association's 2019 Hall of Fame inductee, Roy Wayne Burke. Mr. Burke was born in Benton, Texas in 1930 to Sam and Janie Burke. His parents moved by covered wagon from Atoka to West Texas in 1920, where 8 of their 9 children were born. The family of farmers did quite well until the Dust Bowl wiped out all of their crops. The Burkes decided it was time to move back north, and after several stops in Texas and many struggles along the way, they returned to Atoka County in 1938. Roy attended grade school at Myers Chapel, located 12 miles east of Atoka, and finished his elementary career at Lane Public Schools. In the fall of 1944, Roy began his career at Atoka High School. The first 3 years of high school were spent working hard and learning all that he could and just enjoying being a Wampus cat. But in the summer of 1946, his family decided to move to California. Roy went with them and he spent the summer picking apricots, but in the fall, he decided to return to Atoka to finish high school. During his senior year, he lived with his uncle Holland Taylor, and he paid him $10 a month for room and board. And at midterm, he moved in with his oldest brother Herman and his wife Helen. Roy would go to school at 7 a.m., attend 5 classes, and then at noon he was released to go to work under a program called Trade and Industrial. Mr. Ernest Carter was Roy's trade and industrial teacher, and he helped him get a job at Morgan's drugstore after school for 25 cents an hour. Mr. Morgan expected Roy to work hard, but he also let him enjoy his senior year. He would send Burke to the theater to see what movie was playing, and if Roy came back with a good review, they would just shut down early and Burke could go hang out with his buddies like Max Copeland and Perry Ray. Roy graduated in 1947, the youngest in his class, and only the second of his family to graduate from high school. After graduation, Roy moved back to California to be with his family. He went back to picking apricots and eventually moved to work in the orange packing shed, making 75 cents an hour. After the first season, he became the tally man. That meant a 10-cent an hour raise. Plus, he did the loading of the cars and trucks. And his bosses recognized his hard work and gave him a 30-cent an hour raise. Roy thought he was rich. The citrus work was seasonal, so Burke began to explore other career pathways: poultry, sugar beets, lumber trucks, and finally in 1958, along with his partner Vic Pace, Burke and Pace Lumber opened its gates in Arroyo Grande, California. Since then, his life's work has been supplying building materials to California, as well as Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Oregon, Texas, and even old Mexico. Why, he's even shipped construction supplies to Hawaii for a movie set. In 1949, Burke began building what is perhaps the most important part of his life. While working in the citrus industry, Roy attended a picnic with a blind date, a girl named Bonnie Calvin. And it must have worked out because in November they were married. And 70 years later they are still happily married. Together they raised 4 wonderful children: Steve, Gary, Sally, and Deanne. Although Roy credits Bonnie with most of the children's raising since he had to spend so much time away from home traveling due to his work. They have 8 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. And keeping with the hard-working family values, Burke and Pace Lumber is now a 3rd-generation family-owned operation. His granddaughter said there are countless photos of him with his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, but she tried not to send too many. Today, Burke is very well known as a hard-working and successful businessman who gives back to his community. He is a lifetime Kiwanis Club member with 50 years of perfect attendance, 2001 Citizen of the Year, 2011 Grand Marshal of the Harvest Festival Parade, along with many other philanthropic endeavors. But he is most proud of the work that he does that benefits students. He worked to build a new baseball and soccer fields behind the Arroyo Grande High School, a project which would have cost the district over $250,000, but the cost and the labor were all donated under his leadership. In 2012, with fond memories of Mr. Carter and the T&I program at Atoka High School, Mr. Burke established a scholarship through the Atoka Alumni Association designed to encourage students who are interested in vocational career pathways. After 65 years, Mr. Burke is still making an impact on the students of Atoka High. In a recent autobiography, Burke reminisces about his life, both the struggles and the joys, but he comes to this conclusion: to have seen so many changes in this world, to have lived in such a great time with all of the changes, to have found a wife who was always there, plus being a wonderful person, to have 4 outstanding children, to have had this opportunity to see and live all of this, what more could one ask for? The 2019 Atoka Alumni Association's Hall of Fame inductee, Roy Wayne Burke.